Good day and welcome to another episode of What's Happening Today, presented to you by Rapido News Network. Firstly, I would like to thank you on behalf of my entire team for the love and support you have shown us since our last couple of news stories that we posted. And secondly, I would also apologize in the delay in posting our news updates since the last 2 weeks. The delay was due to technical difficulties that were beyond our control, and I would like to assure you that now everything is resolved and we will be posting regular stories. We appreciate your patience and understanding and do hope for your continued love and support. So now starting with our first story, we will discuss UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who is on the brink of quitting as his own ministers quit their respective position. Post that, we will discuss President Joe Biden awarding Medal of Honors to Vietnamese soldier for incredible heroism. After that, we will talk about the Hudson River Tunnel project, which is expected to move forward as states agree to share costs. Next, we will talk about the mid-air horrors in the Indian subcontinent, where emergency aeroplane landings are on rise. And in our final story, we will talk about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So let's get started. In our first story, we will discuss British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was still clinging to power on Wednesday after being gravely wounded by the resignation of ministers who said he was not fit to govern, and with a growing number of lawmakers calling for him to go. Johnson's finance and health secretaries quit on Tuesday along with several more in the relatively junior roles, saying that they could no longer stay in government after the latest series of scandals that blighted his administration. With mounting calls for the Johnson to quit, he showed his determination to stay in office by appointing businessman and education minister Nadhim Zahawi as his new finance minister and filling some of the other vacancies. I suspect we will have to drag him kicking and screaming from Downing Street, one conservative lawmaker told the news agency Reuters, speaking on conditions of anonymity. But if we have to do it, that way, then that will be it. The level of hostility Johnson faced within his party will be laid bare later on Wednesday when he appears in Parliament for a weekly question session and before the chairs of select committees for a scheduled 2 hours grilling. Johnson, a former journalist and London mayor who became the face of Britain's departure from the European Union, won a landslide election victory in 2019 before taking a combative and often chaotic approach to governing. Now in our next story, President Joe Biden on Tuesday honored 4 Vietnam-era soldiers for what he called act of incredible heroism, bestowing on them the Medal of Honor, America's highest military honor nearly half a century after the end of the conflict in Southeast Asia. At a somber ceremony in the East Room of the White House, Mr. Biden recounted the act of bravery of the 4 men, one of whom was killed in action in Vietnam just 3 months after he helped evacuate his platoon from a village while it was under heavy enemy fire. I mean, it's just astounding when you hear what each of them have done, Mr. Biden said, announcing the award in front of an audience that included 3 other Medal Honor recipients. They went far above and beyond the call of duty. It's the phrase that's always used, but it takes on life when you see these men. The ceremony on Tuesday marked the 3rd time Mr. Biden has bestowed the medal on service members. In May last year, the president honored retired Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr., a veteran of the Korean War, for holding a hill near Unsan over 2 days in November 1950 during the Korean War. In December, Mr. Biden awarded the Medal of Honor to 3 Army soldiers who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. This week, Mr. Biden turned his attention to those who served in Vietnam. Edward N. Kanishiro, a staff sergeant in the army, was an infantry squad leader when he and his men were ambushed inside a village. Mr. Biden described how Mr. Kanishiro single-handedly cleared an enemy trench using 6 hand grenades and his M16 rifle, making it possible for his men and 2 other squads to escape and regroup. Now in our next story, since the last 20 years, the plan to dig new train tunnels under the Hudson River, which is amongst the most ambitious, expensive, and important transportation projects in the country, has been repeatedly tripped up by political wrangling. So when the governors of New York and New Jersey agreed on Tuesday to split evenly their share of the first $14 billion for the first phase of the project known as Gateway, the announcement did not excite anyone, as after all, two different governors had reached a similar agreement in 2015 when Chris Christie was New Jersey's chief executive and Andrew Cuomo was still in charge in Albany. To say that the progress on the tunnels has been slow since then would be an understatement. While the actual digging of the tunnel is still at least more than a year away, the announcement on Tuesday was a sign that Gateway might finally be moving forward. The project planners are racing to lock up federal funding while they have support from the Biden administration and Democratic leader in Washington. Before the federal government could agree to pay half or more of the cost, the two states had to come to an understanding about splitting the local share. The states did not specify how they planned to pay for their portion, but New Jersey has previously said that it would raise some of its share by issuing bonds. This agreement is a major step forward for Gateway, said Senator Charles Schumer, who is the Senate Democratic Majority Leader. I had told the governors of New York and New Jersey that unless they came to an agreement quickly, we would not be able to procure federal funds for the first round of funding. The Gateway project had appeared to be on a fast track towards federal funding once before during the Obama administration. But that momentum was lost when Donald Trump was elected in 2016. Mr. Trump refused to give Gateway the approvals and funding it needed during his 4 years in the office. Now, in our next story concerning the air safety in the Indian subcontinent, the engine of a Vistara plane failed just after a flight from Bangkok landed in Delhi. The plane had to be towed from the taxiway to the parking area. All the passengers are safe. The incident occurred yesterday when the Bangkok-Delhi flight UK 122 landed at the Delhi airport yesterday on a single-engine plane. The airline said that the crew decided to tow the aircraft to the parking bay, keeping in mind the passenger safety. After landing in Delhi, while taxiing to parking bay, our flight UK 122 had a minor electrical malfunction on July 5, 2022. Keeping passenger safety and comfort in mind, the crew elected to tow the aircraft to the bay, Vistara said in a statement. Earlier today, the aviation regulator for India issued a notice to SpiceJet after an unusually high number of incidents involving its aircraft. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, or DGCA, which is the Indian aviation regulator, has pointed out big gaps in how the airline is functioning, from operating flights with degraded safety margins to vendors not being paid on time. This moves come after two SpiceJet made an emergency landing in a single day. A SpiceJet aircraft flying from Kandla in Gujarat to Mumbai in Maharashtra suffered a crack on its windshield and made an emergency landing in Mumbai. This was the second incident today when a SpiceJet aircraft suffered a mid-air horror situation. Earlier on July 5th, SpiceJet Boeing 737 flying from Delhi to Dubai was forced to make an emergency landing in Karachi, Pakistan due to fuel system trouble. However, all the passengers are safe and arrangements are being made. Also, DGCA has ordered a probe into the matter, as this is the 9th incident in the last 3 weeks when an aircraft of SpiceJet made an emergency landing due to various technical issues. Now, in our final story on the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, with Luhansk province firmly in Russia's grasp after weeks of brutal fighting, the country's military forces on Tuesday were already settling their sights on their next target. On the outskirts of Bakhmut, a key supply hub for Ukrainian forces, the Russian army was ramping up its shelling as an apparent prelude for an inch-by-inch offensive into the province of Donetsk. The tactic drove out Ukrainian defenders from the last two cities standing in Luhansk, the other province in the eastern Donbass region, whose capture President Vladimir Putin of Russia has described as a crucial objective of his war. In Solvyansk, one of the cities in Donetsk that lies in Russia's path, the mayor Vadim Lyak urged residents on Tuesday to flee the city, which he said was now on the front line. Artillery is already hitting the city, he warned in an interview on Ukrainian television, saying that 40 houses were destroyed by shelling the day before. In a Facebook post, he said that one person was killed on Tuesday and 7 others wounded in the attack on city's central market. Solvyansk and Bakhmut are likely to be the next cities to face the burn of this war, according to the analysts. To capture all of Donetsk, Russian forces would most likely need to take Kramatorsk, an administrative central and the headquarters of the Ukrainian military forces in the east. Now that was all for the major news update for July 6th. Stay tuned for our next update on the ongoing world affairs. We hope that you find this video useful. If you like this video, hit like. And for a continued update on what's happening around the world, consider subscribing and hit that bell icon to never miss an update whenever we post something new. If you have any comments or any suggestions for us, please let us know in the comment sections below. Once again, we would like to thank you for the love and support you have shown us in the past couple of weeks. Thank you.